The administration has tried to disqualify almost 200,000 drivers nationwide, arguing that non-domiciled status is inherently dangerous. So that again, that's sort of their justification, which of course is questionable. California is of course the epicenter of this, and it's particularly acute for the Sikh community. Now, industry data suggests that nearly 35% of California's commercial drivers are Sikhs, and many of whom reside in one area, the Central Valley. Following a federal audit, the Trump administration threatened to withhold $160 million in highway funding unless California revoked over 17,000 licenses that allegedly had clerical errors. So in other words, the federal government have basically blackmailed California, saying withdraw the licenses of 17,000 people or we'll withhold $160 million of funding. So unsurprisingly, the Sikh Coalition, the Asian Law Caucus and a whole host of partners in the coalition quickly identified that these errors weren't the fault of the drivers. Of course they weren't. Instead, the California Department of Motor Vehicles, the DMV, had actually failed to correctly align the expiration dates of the CDLs with the driver's federal work authorization. So you can see that problem between those two expiry dates, which has created this. And the drivers had provided all required documentation. They'd followed every state law, yet they were the ones being punished. So, in response to this mass revocation, this coalition of partners, including the Sikh Coalition, Asian Law Caucus, the Jakara Movement, amongst many others, filed this class action lawsuit in Alameda County Superior Court. And then just a couple of weeks ago, March the 2nd, the court delivered what appeared to be a huge win for the drivers. The judge ordered the California DMV to allow affected drivers to reapply for their licenses and reissue them within, quote, a reasonable time, ruling that the state had violated its own statutory requirements to serve its residents. Great, but, a big but. The ruling came with a massive caveat. The court didn't provide a precise timeline for the DMV to act, which meant there was no immediate fix, which meant the deadline of March the 6th, the Trump deadline of March the 6th, remained a hard wall for many. In other words, these people didn't have the physical time to go through the bureaucracy to get their CDLs reissued. So that was last Friday, March the 6th. And that's when it changed. The situation transitioned from a simple legal battle to a logistical disaster. And so despite winning the court ruling, California's bureaucracy buckled under the pressure. 13,000 non-domiciled CDLs were officially cancelled last Friday because the DMV were not physically capable of implementing the reapplication and correction process quickly enough.